बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबका। डॉक्टर गुमास्ता का बहुत बहुत आभार कि हमका ये मौका दें आज हियाँ बात करे गए, जबकि हम आपका सबका पता लाग गए अब हम कहाँ से ही। अगर आज राम के वंशज हुई हैं कहूँ तो यह भाषा बोलत ही भाषा जो न्याय रामचरितमानस के भाषा है, ये भाषा अवधी भाषा कही जाती है। I've been so fortunate to be here. I've been watching very carefully since the whole proceedings, listening to Ramakyan, Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. इसका मतलब ये है कि हम इन चीज़ों को we can say in so many ways. We have heard Kaushik ji talking about Mahatma Gandhi's inspiration, which is so different than what Major General Bakshi yesterday said. De di mujhe azadi bina khatg bina dhal. He doesn't believe Gandhi had anything to do with Ramayan because he was so pacifist. But again, going to Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta basically means that you could have your own inspirations in your own ways. And so I think the Manoj Srivastav ji brought so many deeper articulations of Ramayan. I think he's not here, but I want to convey that I really, really enjoyed all the things that he talked, but do differ with him that I think the ideology that he was talking about, Rakshasa, is more of a leftist ideology, a Marxist ideology, than necessarily Khuda and Allah, because they are the ones who provide that kind of support, mental support and ideology of violence as well as denying people's freedom. हमारे बचपन से हम हनुमान जी के भक्त थे, लेकिन आगे बढ़ के भगवान राम हमारे आदर्श हो चुके हैं। फिर भी today I am talking here as an academic and I am going to only bring the ideas, setting aside my personal views about these things. I'm going to talk about what I think Mahatma Gandhi was meaning by Ramraj and what I think if we explore what Ramraj might have been. So with that, I'm going to move on to my slides. The first, I think we need to think about the Gandhians today. There are, of course, Gandhi's real family, and there are some those who have Gandhi names, and there are who go to Gandhi's places. And there are so many types, there are very sincere people throughout the world who believe in Gandhi. There are movies which predict, show Gandhi's ideas, the Gandhigiris, and then you have people who really, real people in the villages who really do act like Gandhi. And there are people who, like President Obama, who would say quote Gandhi, that how Gandhi would be shocked at certain conditions. Many of you probably have heard about those things. And of course you have current Prime Minister who gets inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi. And at the same time, as you will see, while current Prime Minister does pay obeisance to Mahatma Gandhi, but then he is really more interested in the smart cities than in the villages that Mahatma Gandhi was trying to do. Mahatma Gandhi's idea of governance was to decentralize the power and decision-making and integrate all the villages at the village level as a Ramrajya. Justice Krishna Iyer of Indian Supreme Court, he said the elitists whose sympathies with the masses have dried up are, from the standards of the Indian people, least suitable to run government and least meritorious to handle state business. If we envision a service state in which the millions are consumers. It's basically the university professors like myself and the elitists who live in Delhi and big cities like Jabalpur perhaps. I don't think they are really the people who are suitable to think about Gram Raj and Ram Raj. So I think we should first disabuse ourselves with this idea that we are the best in trying to take care of Mahatma Gandhi's ideas. Now there are other problems. This is one problem of Ram Raj. The other problem is that many people, very well-meaning people, they think that Treta is not here, we are in Kaljug. And so then we have to live through 4,27,000 साल अभी कलयुग चलेगा, फिर उसके बाद then we will get Dwapar Oh, excuse me, we'll get Krita Yuga, and then we'll get somewhere Treta, and then Ram will come, and there will be Ramraj. Without going into too much details, I'm sorry, this pointer doesn't go there, but you can see the circle. This is an idea that I have taken from Sri Yukteswar Giri, and according to this, if you really follow this BC and AD, 1700 AD is the time that I have calculated from some of the data, and there are some people here in the audience who will be talking more about this chronology of Ramayan and Ram. So the Treta, ascending Treta has actually started in 1700. One clear indication is that that is when most of the rational thinking have started about 1700, which is the scientific. Thank you. Oh, that's just, it doesn't go on the white. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. So it doesn't go on the screen. So you can just see that I think in terms of chronology, at least the construction that I have made, I think we are ready for 300 years actually, it's Treta time. So Ramraj is a reasonable thing that we have. Gandhi's life's goals were the universal values he has in independence, freedom, equality, satya, and ahimsa. These are the only things we really need to worry. And the political values he had was Ramraj and Gramraj, and personal values was self-sacrifice. So if we could adopt this, there would not be that much problem. He actually wrote a Hind Swaraj book in 1910 or 11, and where he has called actually the Western civilization, which we are all westernized, quite westernized in our civilization, is a disease. Actually, he called it a disease. The English language that I'm speaking in is cause of slavery. And the doctors, many of, including Dr. Gumasta, they're driven by, no, he's not driven by greed, but many doctors are driven by greed to clinging to treatment of the body and not the soul. Lawyers, of course, you can see, machine, railways, he was so much against all this. And we can debate about it, whether this is really worth doing or not, and we don't have time right now. But I think there is a value in what he has said. So if you look at the village, many of the problems, many of you might be thinking actually is the problem of people who are not educated. If you really look at the bribe, most of the bribes are in the cities. If you look at the black money, most of the black money is in the cities. You look at the corruption, most of the corruption in the cities. Look at pollution, unsustainability, dowry, that's female feticide. Believe me or not, female feticide is mostly in cities. Gender ratio, most of the problem. You know, जो ठंडी चलती है ना शीत लहरी, उसमें गांव में कोई नहीं मरता, सब शहर में मरते हैं. So why? I mean, there is every data you have, but we deny it because we are educated. We know how to write. We know how to speak. So I come up with this model, and I'm sorry you cannot read this, but the bottom basically says that you divide us in different castes, different regions, different language. You need a huge amount of resources to control people. But if you go to the top, where all you have to do is अपने आचरण में ले आने की बात है, just by your own conduct, you can display what needs to be done. And that is something what Ram did. I mean, we just heard that he really spoke very few words, but he was more in the action. So that is a very effective way. There is a revival and rescue of Gandhian values. How can we do? We need to bring science according to that. We need to bring bridgeness, Professor Gupta, according to that. We need to have a media and politics, the paradigm you need to change. You need to own the discourse. Right now, the Ramraj is not owning the discourse. You have the resources and the strategy. You have to, the means that you have is basically practice, and then bring that into education. I'm not going to read this, but Thomas Jefferson, who started democracy, or at least the father of American Constitution, democracy is basically say that if you have democracy, then you can run the country. You have to have education that supports the democracy. Whereas Mahatma Gandhi said that you must have education so that you can control yourself, not the rest of the people. So there is very different paradigm between what we consider as democracy today and what is being practiced, and what at least Gandhi thought about. So what is the practice? How do you get it? You get through the yoga and Ayurveda and follow your Swadharma and follow the independence and things of that nature. And then you have a natural action, which is the karma without attachment, which is the freedom, which is the fundamental values of this land, of Vedas, and that is depicted through Ramayan in the conduct of Lord Ram. Now, I'm really going to talk about Ramrajya, and I want to talk about alternative to democracy that we have. And Winston Churchill actually said, that democracy is not really necessarily a great idea. Actually, he said, no one pretends that democracy is perfect or all-wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government except all those others that have been tried from time to time. I think they have a limitation of knowledge of democracy that has been practiced in India for a very, very long time. And that is the point I'm trying to make. There has been history of democracy in India. And what I want to take you to is that this kind of democracy was really what was in the time of Ram. The idea of Sabha, Samiti, Praja, Prajatantra, Prajapati has been there in the Vedas. And I recently wrote a paper where we have tried to contrast between the Praja democracy and Republic democracy. What we have right now is a Republic democracy, not a Prajatantra, even though we keep calling it Prajatantra, but we do not have Prajatantra, we do not have Praja democracy. What is Praja democracy? Pra means intense, bright, refined, strong, developed, and Ja means productive or creative. Somebody who is highly, intensely creative, which basically, जो लोग गांव के रहने वाले जानते होंगे अभी भी प्रजा है वहाँ, लोहार, बढ़ई, नाई, धोबी, ये सारे लोग प्रजा भी माने जाते हैं. So those are the people like washermen, carpenter, blacksmiths, all these, they are considered praja in the villages. They are still, they play a lot of role in the social life. And so when Ramayan and Ramrajya we are talking about, we really, I know we are all very attached, very devoted to Lord Ram and his actions, his greatness and everything, but we need to analyze what he's doing. And again, I'm sorry, you can't read this too far, but if you really look at the Praja word and Praja practice that we still have, these are the people, but first of all, Prajapati is Brahma, and there is a Kumhar who still writes Prajapati. This basically leads to people who are self-reliant. These people did not do any naukari or jobs. They were not looking for service. They were self-reliant, which basically makes them independent because they are actually independent of even government because they don't need anything from government. And the same thing goes to Vishwakarma, which is also, carpenters write that, and Vishwakarma is also a Devta. Actually, they are not OBC, they are not the so-called Shudras or lower. Actually, even though I'm a professor, I think I consider myself more like a Shudra because I provide service and I get paid for it. So all these people, Sudras, are really Prajas. And when you have Sudras, right now I get paid, so I have to depend on whosoever is in the government or in the university. But if I were running my own Gurukul, where I didn't have to worry about anybody, I could teach whatever I want to teach. I can say whatever I want to say. I don't have to be afraid of the government. I don't have to be afraid of the king. And that was the system that they had. That's why the Ram had this system of Prajatantra. And now I know we have talked about the Sita's exile. Why did he do this? Because he believed in Prajatantra. Not only he, she also. Because India is the only country where both husband and wife are enthroned. Not the king and queen are enthroned at the same time. It's not that he is first lady. He wasn't the first lady. She was part of the kingdom. And she was committed to that anyway. And otherwise, if he was just exiling her, she could have just gone to her father's place. Her father was still a king. But she decided not to go. Just think about today's wives and mothers. If they have any problem, they call their mom. And, and they go to their mother's place. But not the Sita. So the idea I'm trying to say is that we need to analyze the Prajatantra that Ram believed in. And that's the system that he had. And if you want to get Praja democracy, then you have to believe in self-reliant population, and then you have to change your education in such a way that people become self-reliant, and then they will vote. If they have to vote, they will vote their conscience rather than their stomach or their head in some cases. Otherwise, you have corruptions. What is demonetization going on? I stood in line for an hour and a half to get $5,000 from the bank. Or you have somebody like that, he says, I bribe everyone I meet. That's the system they have created. He is the president of the most powerful country on earth, of course, the most powerful democracy. So, I think 3 minutes? Okay, thank you. So Gandhi, of course, as we all have been talking about, he believed we must be the change we wish to see, and that is what Ram did. He did what he meant, and everybody knew it. That was crystal clear. He would not change. And I will be speaking a little bit more about some of these ideas tomorrow at the concluding session. I mean, the same thing is true with Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said, example, isn't there another way to teach? It is the only way to teach. So as a teacher, it is important. That's why we have acharyas in Indian system. We need to bring that kind of system back to not only for India, for rest of the world. And this is very much important and needed. I'm just going to quickly move this. You know, the Vans is not what we normally think the physical child, biological child. It's really mental and spiritual child also. So it's very important to have them. I'm not going to make that argument because Jeffrey has already told me 3 minutes. So I want to come back to this one, where I have in the United States, because we think that Vans is not just biological, but also mental, intellectual, and spiritual. So continue my lineage of mental, intellectual, and spiritual thoughts. My next generation, whether they are my biological or not, must continue with those ideas. So I have built a consortium of foundations for India, which has these other foundations which are interested. And I also started myself a foundation called Maryada Foundation, and you can imagine where the inspiration is coming from. And I'm a person of a very modest family background. I come from a village. My family lives in a village near Ayodhya as a joint family, 7th generations together. But I recently got about $3 million out of my work with some companies, and I put that in the Maryada Foundation because I want my next generation to continue this kind of work. And I appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate the fact, thank you, I appreciate the fact that I was born where I was born. I appreciate the fact that I was born in a family which gave me some of these values. I appreciate the fact that I was born in a country where this kind of opportunity, this kind of knowledge exists. And I appreciate the fact that I live in the United States that allowed me to look back. And today I'm here to talk about this. I hope we will continue our journey together. Thank you very much.